So this is Scott Harney from Esoteric Guides. I'm here with Dragon, the High Priest of the Dragon Moon Circle, which is New York City's newest pagan fellowship. Started in Samhain of 2023, so it really is a new kid on the block. So Dragon, welcome, and
Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you started the Dragon Moon
Sure.
Circle.
Well, my background in Wicca is that originally I started with a group called Shadow Folk, which was out of the store called Enchantments. They were on East 9th Street, just west of First Avenue, and they had a Grove class there.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Joe and Jezebel, right?
correct.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
And there was a high priestess there, Caitlin Creed, who was working 50-50 with Joe as the high priest and high priestess of that particular grove. And they had a little outing, and uh, Caitlin decided to leave Enchantments and go off on her own. And the group that was for that grove class followed along with her.
Oh,
So pretty
okay.
much everyone went with her, and we retained the name Shadow Folk Coven. And that was when I was just starting out and learning my way, Wicca 101, and worked my way up in that particular coven to my third degree over time. Took many years, and down the road, I don't know how many years later, it's probably like 15 years later, um, the uh, coven kind of had another falling out where Shadow Folk wanted to move on from the then temple that had then three covens, three separate covens in under the banner of Temple of the Spiral Path. And so Shadow Folk moved on and transformed into what was Grailwood. Grailwood Coven was where Shadow Folk was more of a Celtic-based coven which was eclectic with Greco-Roman, Arthurian, Egyptian, um, etc. There were a bunch of different pantheons we worked with. Um, Grailwood was more based on a Welsh fairy tradition. And I was with that coven from 2009 through uh, early this year, January this year. And that coven imploded. And
What happened?
so, well, the high priestess of the coven has some serious health issues,
Mm.
and the students were kind of in need of a little more than she could give on a teaching level, on an even energetic level. And they were kind of gearing up to move on,
Right.
and then they did. We only had four or five members at that point, and two of the main degree students who were very experienced, who were doing all the parts, so the main parts, decided to move on. And so that coven was disbanded by the high priestess.
Mm-hmm.
And um, at that point, I had a lot of experience over all this time. But, like here I am going out into the pagan world and starting over, so to speak, because if I go to a new group to join in with their Sabbats, then I'm starting out as a rank beginner because
Right.
I'm not part of their group.
Right.
And so I went to a few different rituals that one was with a former member of Shadow Folk that has her own coven now out in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to one of her rituals, and it was nice because it was kind of like family. Like I recognized the roots of the ritual format. But it was just strange because I was used to having an entirely different liturgy that was used in Grailwood for many years. So it was a little culture shock for me because here I am, you know, I was pretty much in Grailwood if not by name, the acting high priest, meaning that I was facilitating all the rituals as the high priest of the rituals. Um, I was not teaching classes, but so then I come to uh, what's known as North Wildwood's uh, Coven's Open Sabbath for, I believe it was Beltane,
Hmm.
and I'm a rank beginner. So it was very strange. It was like bittersweet being with that old family and weird being having all this experience and just, don't even really have a ritual part. I'm just kind of a participant. And then found another group called Avalon Grove that had some open Sabbaths and was able to participate a little more because they had some open parts for those rituals. And I had an idea of creating a group on my own outside of Grailwood while I was in Grailwood to circle on the Sabbath dates, on the actual Sabbath dates, because for the most part, Grailwood would circle on the weekends for the closest date to the Sabbath. And in Shadow Folk, I was used to circling on the actual Sabbaths and additionally in a Grove class on the weekends.
Hmm.
So I was just trying to do something extracurricular. And when I was, now having no coven to stand on, so to speak, I thought, well, this is a good time to try to put that idea into action and trying to create a new group, a fellowship, kind of an open pagan fellowship where I can bring the pagan community at large together to celebrate on the actual Sabbath dates. The
Right.
actual Sabbath dates are a little harder for people because, they're not always on a weekend. They may be during the week.
Right. So, do you have a hierarchy? Do you have a high priestess? And
Well, this is the thing. It's really there is no hierarchy. I'm not
mhm,
actually the high priest of Dragon Moon Coven. I'm sorry, Dragon Moon Circle.
mhm,
I'm the organizer.
I see.
It happens right now that I have a lot of experience, and for the first number of rituals, I am acting as the high priest by default because I haven't really gotten to know the pagan crowd out there coming in and don't know, who has experience to actually do the high priest part, how many people are actually going to step up as high priestess. So, it's been a challenge. So far, I've been lucky that I've found a high priestess for each of these three rituals that we're doing. So far, it's Samhain, Yule, and now we're doing Imbolc. And I've had a high priestess set up for each of these rituals, which is great.
Now, your imbolc is very interesting because it's a Slavic ritual, the Maslenit, the Maslenitsa, correct?
Yeah,
So, how
it's
did that
called
come about?
the pronunciation start the emphasis is on the first syllable. It's mas lenitsa.
Maslenitsa. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you Slavic? Is that your heritage, or how did
No,
this come?
that's
No.
I have my name is Russian. My heritage on my father's side is Russian Jewish.
Hmm.
Not that the Jewish side, I'm not really practicing Judaism at this point, but the the ritual that we're doing was presented to me by the person I asked to be high priestess, and she said she's where is she from? She said she's Slavic, um, Lithuanian, and Russian, I believe.
Oh, who is that? The high priestess?
It's a woman named Aiva.
Oh, does she
Aiva,
run the? Did she do the Witches of New York? Is she the? She's a photographer.
yes, correct.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
her show was fantastic.
Yeah,
Everybody was
really great.
actually in the show,
Yep,
and I
that's
loved the
great.
photo that she took of me.
Oh, you're in the show too. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, so it says the work of the ritual we will be calling on the goddess Mara and the god Veles. That's really
yes.
interesting. Yeah,
And
this
this
is a
is my
really
first Russian
yeah,
ritual. I've never worked with this pantheon, so it's good for me to spread my wings and, you know, my horizons a bit and
right.
branch out to something new and do that. It's great.
And this ritual will be held at the 29th Street Rep. It's 212 West 29th Street on February 1st at 7 p.m.
Correct. It's going to be
And it's
7 to
open,
9.
yeah, 7 to 9. And open to the whole pagan community. You don't have to be a member. You can just show up and
Correct. Correct.
very
There is
cool.
a Facebook
Yeah.
group that I set up
Hmm.
under the name Dragon Moon Circle,
Right.
uh, and it has an invite on there for each of the Sabbats we've done so far.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get people to sign up as going if possible. I get a lot of people who are interested,
Right.
and I'll try to, if they say interested, I'll try to contact them and say,
Yeah.
hey, you said you're interested. Are you coming around? Because
Right.
I'm trying to build up some numbers, and
Sure.
it's not just about, oh, I'm collecting people. I'm trying to bring the pagan community at large around and get
Right.
them to interact with each other.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think right now with TikTok and the social media, it seems like the younger pagans, younger witches aren't really joining covens. They're not really joining circles. They're not joining rituals, public rituals. They're doing a lot of things online. So this is really refreshing to see. I love live events. I don't like these online events. So this is really great that you're doing this. You
Yeah, I'd
know,
much rather have ritual in person than online. You
yeah,
can do
yeah,
ritual online, but it doesn't have the same impact on yourself or the members of the group,
correct. Because you feel the rich, you feel the energy, you smell the incense, right? You do have incense at these. I know a
Well, you
lot of
can
these
have all
indoor,
that in your own apartment, but you're feeling it by
right?
yourself. You're not
Exactly, right?
It's not a group energy exchange the way it is
Exactly,
in person.
yeah. Well, this is really exciting. What's the future now? You have Imbolc. What is the next major ritual you're going to be doing?
The next one would be Beltane.
Beltane. Okay, so you're not doing
And
the
most
full moons.
likely
Yeah,
Beltane will be back at Central Park,
right.
probably at Cherry Hill again.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's really nice to have it outside because you do feel the nature. I know in the winter it's difficult, but yeah. So I know
Well,
Star
we had a really
Ravenhawk.
difficult one at Yule. Yule, we went out to the park in 33-degree weather and we
Wow.
all froze our asses off really badly. One
Yeah,
person left wisely. The one wise person left. The
yeah.
rest of us were like ice cubes, but we
I
made
know.
it through.
Yeah, I know the Wiccan Family Temple. I've been to their rituals. So they usually have them down Tompkins Square Park during the summer months and when it's a bit warmer. But yeah, Central Park is a perfect place. It's very magical. I mean, there's a lot of great energy there, and yeah. So, what's your eventual goal? Is this? You say it's not a teaching collective. It has no degree system. Eventually, would you like to turn it into some kind of degree system, or it's just going to be an open
No, actually, I'd
circle?
just rather keep it open and let people come at will. And, there have been a number of people who are ranked newbies that, are trying to learn their way around.
Right.
Initially, I'll assign them to an altar assistant.
Okay.
Anybody can do an altar assistant. If
Right.
they want to learn more, I can give them some books to read, like Scott
Hmm.
Cunningham and et cetera, very basic Wicca books that they can learn
Sure.
the basics of how to run a circle, and
Right.
hopefully they'll do some solo work at home to try to understand how to call a quarter, how to call
Hmm.
otherworldly allies, and work their way up.
Right. That's cool. And how's the reception been so far? This is going to be a third ritual. Have you had a good turnout at the earlier rituals?
The first ritual we had 15 people at
Wow,
Samhain,
that's
which
very
was
good
great.
for.
Our first
Yeah,
ritual, I was
sure.
like, wow, this is amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
That one was the Greek ritual. So we did
Hmm.
the descent of Persephone into the underworld, which was
Wow.
great. It was very intense.
Hmm.
All the parts were covered. There were a couple of little flubs, like, oh, one, I forgot to print out all the ritual parts just
Hmm.
in case anyone doesn't bring theirs with them or didn't memorize it. I've
Right.
learned that I have to cover everything at this point. There was a missing tarot deck,
Hmm.
and luckily, someone who attended had a tarot app on their phone and was able to cover it. And they're a
Hmm.
very skilled tarot reader, so it was very, very lucky.
Hmm.
And I forgot to bring the cups, the porter chalices for the juice.
It happens.
So like, and
Right.
I had them in the house. They were ready. I just didn't put them with the stuff to pack up.
Right.
So now I have a checklist for every single thing. I need
Hmm.
to have everybody send me the ritual parts just so I check those off. Make sure I check off every single ritual tool, including cups, the bread, everything.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the second one went much better. All of those things are covered. And we had still in freezing cold, I believe it was 9 people
Wow.
coming out in 33-degree weather. It was the day
Hmm.
after it had snowed. So the place we were going to in Cherry Hill, the
Hmm.
entire park was covered, blanketed with snow. The
Wow.
hill, the little hill that led up the path to go to Cherry Hill was
Hmm.
covered in ice. So we were like,
Right.
no, we're not going to slip and break our neck up there. We decided for Cherry Hill Fountain, which has a concrete base,
Hmm.
and there's like pedicabs and horse carriages on the north side of that fountain. We just went to the south side and put our table up and circled around it and had a great ritual there.
Wow. So I notice each ritual is, since you see you're using a different pantheon. Which pantheon do you generally work with?
Well, I work with a number of pantheons, and
Mm.
uh, my patron god is Thor.
Okay.
So, am I preferential to Norse ritual? Sure, but I'm also preferential to all the other pantheons. I've worked
Hmm.
with Celtic, I've worked with Welsh, I've worked with Arthurian, Egyptian,
Wow.
Babylonian. I think at one point we even did Shinto. We've done
Oh,
so
really?
many different things.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. I just got
I'm
back from
very
Japan.
open.
I'm very much interested in Shintoism. But anyway, yeah.
It's very
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
We
A lot
did
of different
like
gods there.
a
Yeah.
reenactment of a particular Shinto goddess. I can't remember the name of her right
Could be
now.
canon, or canon's
No,
like the Kuan Yin equivalent in
no, that
Japan.
wasn't it. I can't
No.
remember it offhand right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got a tarot deck. The gods of Japan. It's an oracle deck. Anyway, I just had a
Very
great
nice.
time there. So
Yeah,
very
I'd
cool.
love
Yeah,
to
they're
come back.
very pagan. They really are. They're Buddhist, but as you know, Shintoism is extremely sort of animistic, and they believe in spirits being everywhere, and spirits of the land, spirits of the neighborhood, and yeah, yeah, it's really cool, and it's a living tradition, which is cool. Not but that's really great. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this Slavic ritual. I mean, this is really something very unique. What's your opinion in general about the pagans, like sort of what would you call it, like the pagan scene in New York City now? I mean, it's not what it was in the '70s or '80s. It's sort of,
A lot of it has kind of dropped out. There was
yeah,
pagan pride was around for a number of years, for many
hmm,
years, and then it just out of nowhere went the way of the wind.
right.
And but now it's coming back. I think this year it's
Oh,
coming
good.
back as Gotham Pagan Pride.
Oh, that's good.
So that's nice that that's coming back around.
Hmm.
And then there's Stars Group,
Right.
which, I've circled with her group a couple of times here and there, but I was busy primarily with the different covens that I was working with.
Yeah.
Um, there used to be what is it? Lady Rhea had
Yeah.
some rituals.
Right. And an
I
immigrant.
think that's more
Yeah.
private for her degree students at this point, that it's Covenstead.
Right.
She used to have
Hmm.
some that were a little more open, so I used to attend some of her
Right.
rituals. Um,
Well, she does some things at Evie Florist now. She does. I think she's doing something. I think she had a her last rituals at Evie Florist in the East Village.
and I know that
So
Lori Bizzaro is doing the Temple of Hecate.
heck, right. That's true. Hmm.
So, but then you have to be just into Hecate
Hmm.
for that kind of. That's what the theme is of the rituals. It's all
Right.
Hecate all the time, which is fine. That's great.
Hmm.
I haven't attended one of her rituals yet. Um, I was more focused on trying to get this off the ground.
Yeah. Well, this is
So I
great.
don't
I
know
mean,
where
it's
else. Enchantments has a grove thing going on, but during the
oh,
winter they don't have outdoors, like a heated space that they can do ritual.
oh, I didn't know that. Is it like sort of like the Pagan Grove of before?
I think
Like
it's kind of like the original Enchantments, only it's another completely new group of people.
interesting. Well, that's good to
Like, I
know.
don't think it has
Hmm.
anything to do with the original owners. I don't think the original owner owns enchantments anymore. It's like a
Right. That
complete
was
new
yeah.
group of new witches doing things their way.
Right. Because originally it was Lady Rhea and Carol Bolzone who
Right, right.
owned it, and then Joe and Jezebel sort of ran the. Well, Joe really ran the Pagan Grove for years, right? And then they moved
They're
what
not
to
even on Ninth
Tennessee,
Street anymore. They moved over to,
right?
like, I think it was Avenue B,
Avenue
or
B, yeah,
yeah.
which is next to a really cool place, Hecate Cafe. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
Yeah, I went over there to check it out. They said they might have space for us to run one of our rituals, but it was too
mhm,
small. It's like it's
yeah,
a bar, and
it's
it has a
right,
very slim hallway that you can walk in for drinking. Great, but there's not space to run a ritual there.
right, yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's a nice space anyway. So it's too bad they
Yeah,
didn't
I
have something
found
in the
out
back.
about these. They're like uh, non-alcoholic bars. I can't remember what the name of them are. There's a new term for them.
Oh, is there? I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're one of those type of bars. There's no
Yep.
alcohol served there. It's all
Right.
just virgin everything.
Right. What I find interesting though, they have gin, but it has no alcohol in it. So you can get a gin and tonic. It tastes like gin, but
Without the alcohol.
without the alcohol. So
Yeah.
the kava drink's really good.
I
So
mean, that one, and there was another one that I checked out down there that said they had space, but when I went down, they were like, "Oh, you want this place for 2 hours? No, that's going to interfere with our business."
right.
But it was interesting, and they gave me a hot chocolate to check out,
Hmm.
and but the crowd is very young.
Yeah.
I'm like an
Hmm.
old timer now compared to these kids, like in
Yeah.
their 20s.
Are you getting many young people involved in this?
I think it's a mixed age group. I don't think
Hmm.
it's like really young youngsters. I think they're more in their 30s to maybe up to 50s.
Hmm.
I think one of the members is even older than that.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
attendees, I shouldn't say members. They're not.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, this looks great. I mean, I really look forward to your ritual on the first. And yeah, so people can go on Facebook essentially to join up, or is there any other ways if they don't
Yeah,
have
all they
Facebook?
have to do is go to Facebook, and it's slash Dragon Moon Circle,
Right.
and just scroll down, and it's the first event on the page. I think it's the first thing on the page at this point.
Yeah.
And just click on the invite, and click going if you can make it, or interested if you're interested. I usually
Hmm.
like to try to get people to say going if they're actually coming around.
Right.
And but if I could have it say going or not going, that would be my preference. But you can't have
Yeah,
everything you
exactly.
want tailored your way, you
Sure.
know.
Uh, so one final thing, Dragon Moon. What is the significance of the dragon? Is that I know your magical name is Dragon? Is this part of your path?
Well, the dragon is my spiritual animal,
Mm.
and it has a lot of significance for me in Wicca and also
Hmm.
in my martial arts.
Oh,
I'm a
right, right.
I'm a kung fu teacher. I've
Oh,
been teaching a particular system named Tan Dao Kung Fu
hmm,
since like the early 90s.
hmm,
And so the dragon in that sense represents, it's like the highest of our animals, and
right.
represents the, if you look in Chinese culture, it represents the creature that go can live on all different types of either the land, the sea, the air. It can transform into mist. It's like they're one of the most powerful creatures,
Hmm.
and also represents, and it's actually still the year of the dragon. It's
Yeah.
represented in their lunar calendar. And
Hmm.
then there's the Western dragon, which is symbolized more as a they have wings and fly and breathe fire, and eventually were turned into more of an evildoer, where they
Hmm.
come and swoop in to steal the maiden away, and the knight fights with them, and etc. But there's
Hmm.
all different kinds of dragons in Western culture also.
Right.
Tiamat was like one of the original dragons. That's back
Hmm.
in ancient Babylon.
Right.
So, and I've taught a course on dragon lore, and it's very very interesting stuff. So it has a lot of different meaning for me.
Yeah. And also representing Kundalini in the Vedic tradition, right? The sort of dragon energy. And of
And
course,
also
next Wednesday.
the
Yeah.
ley lines of the world. They call them
Right.
dragon tracks.
Dragon
There's all
tracks. Yep.
different
Hmm.
things that are represented by the dragon.
Of course, next Wednesday is Chinese New Year's, and they'll be doing the dragon dance, which is always great to see down in Chinatown and then in Flushing.
Yeah,
So,
this year is coming up is the year of the snake.
Year of the Snake, right? Yep.
Interesting for me because the snake in my kung fu system, I
Hmm.
am the snake of our system. That's my primary animal. That's my best animal of the system that I have been working
Wow.
with since ages
Hmm.
ago. So I'm gonna
Interesting.
most likely be doing a part of a demo down at I think it's Bayer Street,
Hmm.
between what is it, Mott and the next one over.
Hmm.
One of the Grand Masters of the Southern Mantis system, Grandmaster
Hmm.
Norman Chen, he has a huge amount of students, and they always put on a huge display of the lion dances and a martial arts demonstration.
Wow.
So
And
they're
when is
kind of
that?
a
Is that in
our
the
school.
evening or morning or
It's
when is it?
usually about maybe about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, running till about 5.
Oh, wonderful. That's great.
They call it Super Saturday. I think it's the second Saturday, and I think it's the 8th.
The 8th. Okay.
Yeah, it's second Saturday. I'm not. Don't quote me on the date, but I think it's the
Yeah.
7th or 8th.
Oh, that's very cool. And do you teach in Chinatown or where do you teach?
No, the students that I was teaching most recently were at a free class that I was giving in Riverside Park,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
then that faded out eventually as I eventually needed a hip replacement.
Oh, damn. Sorry to hear that.
My
Hmm.
right hip got osteoarthritis so bad I needed a hip replacement.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so at this point, I have one private student that I'm working with,
Hmm.
and we work out of my apartment during the winter. And
Hmm.
we just signed up for a membership at New York City Parks and Recreation gym down on 23rd Street for their
Hmm.
studio on the weekend. But normally we've been working at Isham Park. They have a nice big stone circle out there that we've been working
Mm.
at all summer.
Wow.
And eventually I'm going to be bringing this back to a brick and mortar, actual school where we have our own, uh,
Hmm.
dance studio and build up the following yet again.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, very cool. Well, Dragon. Well, thank you very much for your time. I think this is it's really commendable what you're doing, building up the pagan community in New York, and the scene definitely needs a new group. So yeah, kudos to
Great.
you, and look forward to seeing your ritual on the first.
It's my pleasure, and
Absolutely.
we look
And
forward to seeing you then.
yeah, and good luck to you. Thank you.